legislations like No Child Left Behind have left grade and high schools in shambles. Instead of teachers having the freedom to think outside the box and use creative techniques to prepare their students for the real world, they are forced to be narrow-minded and teach with worthless information that will never help their students have successful careers. Today, there are no high schools left in America that teach students the knowledge necessary to start their own business, invent their own product, or even how to use the internet and other free resources to become educated about things without attending college.
Dictate education reform.
You think I'm in support of
Educators are the ones that should
Standardized testing is a tool, one tool, used to measure a school's success.
By teaching students to memorize, not to think.
The whole idea of a standardized test is to test the objective knowledge and ability of students before allowing them to pass the grade. You can't have a functional standardized test if you are constantly changing the standard. It's right in the title, man, you know? Yeah. Standardized testing. Standardized testing. There's a standard. It's standardized. You can't keep changing the standard.
Kids learn in different ways. Teachers sometimes do a crappy job. The stakes are too high. We shouldn't hold kids to objective standards. On the other hand, everyone should know the basics. That said, maybe it's less about the testing and more about the teaching. If emphasis put on the learning process instead of the testing process, maybe, I don't know, everyone will win, including the taxpayers.
Yeah, standardized test sounds great, except when it comes to actually doing it. And then you have the whole taxpayer dollar thing, and then you get all the cooks in the kitchen, and the standardized test never truly tests anything other than a couple crash courses the students take a week before the exam.
Massive infusion of new federal spending and federal control, but student achievement has been flat, and states have less flexibility today than before the act was passed. A big investment without much measurable return.
Telling states was really set low bars, or write easy tests, or set low standards that you call proficiency because you stay out of trouble under the law, you get even more money, and everybody comes out looking good except for the kids who actually are no better educated than they were before the law. We're now telling these kids and their parents that those children are proficient. They are now up to speed educationally, but the definition of proficiency, what it means, isn't real proficiency. It is a lie that's designed to keep schools and districts out of trouble while not having to actually educate kids any better. Now accept that No Child Left Behind is a failure. The reality is, it's not No Child Left Behind that is ultimately the problem. It's the very process by which federal education policy is made.
Years left to reach our goal: 100% proficiency in math and reading. In Alabama, only 18% of 8th graders are proficient in math. And next door in Mississippi, it's only 14%. And it's not just southern states. New Jersey, 40%. Connecticut, 35%. New York, 30%. Arizona, 26%. And in California, just 24% of 8th graders are proficient in math. When 8th graders across the country were tested for reading, most scored between 20 and 35% of grade level. The worst scores for reading are in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital.
First time I read a book by a Latina author was in college. The wind in my chest stood up. It had been 18 long years of textbooks filled with everything but me. For the first time, my body knew a world that could hold it. See, the quickest way to silence a mouth is to treat it as if none had come before.
There are thousands of unreported lynchings that happen in American classrooms each year. The victims are between the ages of 5 and 19. They are black and brown and gay and poor and different and other and not enough and too much. Round pegs in square classrooms. Children suffering for not being who we want them to be, for having voices too loud,
accents too thick,
pockets too thin, for classrooms to honor us just as we are.
Unfortunately, students, I will not be teaching class today.
What? Why?
I've been fired.
No way. What? Are you kidding?
Disappointingly, the new administration at Anchor Beach wants me to teach you how to take tests, not how to think. And I won't do that. You all have vibrant and brilliant young minds. and I encourage you to use them. Speak up for yourselves. This is your school, your education. Never forget that.